welcome back again to class, and this is the fourth module under the Scrum Master training, the fourth module, lesson 3. Fourth module, lesson 3. In the last class, we discussed about yesterday's weather as one of the best practices in Scrum. And in this class, which is the fourth module, third lesson, we would be looking at another best practice in Scrum called swarming. Best practice in Scrum called swarming. So what is swarming? Swarming is a collaborative approach, just as we can see from that slide, where the entire team focuses on completing a single task or a very small number of tasks before moving on to other work. The entire team comes together to focus on a single task or small task, but they all come together for that particular task or a few number of tasks before moving to other tasks, other work. This technique is typically used when facing particularly complex issues, trying to meet a critical deadline, or when working to remove a significant impediment that is blocking progress. Another illustration that I use for swarming, just as we can see from the screen here, from the screen before I go back to that other illustration, from the screen on the slide, we can see this practice in car race as a game. This is car race, and at some point the car has a short stop to check the status of the car, and some of the things they do is to change the tires and a couple of other things, and they do that in such a jiffy, under few seconds. But the entire team would rush to the car, and each team member would be carrying out different functions together while they are doing that particular task. So that's what swarming is. The illustration that I also make when explaining swarming is, for instance, put yourself in a position where you're walking along a path, maybe a street or somewhere. Let's put our mind back to our villages, right? You're walking on the farm, and suddenly you looked up and you saw a beehive. And you decided to pick a stone and stone the beehive. For a moment, think of what will happen next. What do you think would happen next? The bees would rush in the direction of that stone. Every single available bee would rush in a single direction where that stone had come from, and everything in their path they would affect. If fortunately they find you, you should just thank God for your head. So that's the other illustration that I often use to explain swarming. So the entire bees would swarm at you in that rush, that force, whatever obstacle you would have brought, they would surmount it. Imagine if it's just one or two bees that you see flying against you, you could easily wave them off, or get your slippers to kill those ones off. But when they are coming in that number, what happens? Even if you are a giant guy, you will run. So that's exactly what swarming is all about. The team would focus and concentrate their efforts in a particular direction. And those are some of those benefits. So for swarming to work, just as I mentioned just now, the team would focus. It requires concentrated efforts. It also requires cross-functionality, just as we can see on this picture. Let's leave the bee scenario aside for a moment. In this picture, we can see the cross-functionality. This guy with the megaphone is the one at alert. This one is a specialist on this particular wheel, while this one is checking the oil, while this one is raising the car so that they can remove the tire. So each person has its own function. That's what we call cross-functional. I know by now you know quite clearly what cross-functional means. Cross-functional team is a team that has all the skill sets needed to complete a defined task. In this case of Scrum, to complete a sprint. Then, of course, they want to prioritize their focus. They have other tasks, but they've decided to focus on this one. They've decided to swarm at this one. And swarming also helps knowledge share. It also fosters better collaboration. And just as in the illustration of the bee that I mentioned, it eliminates any bottleneck. Even if you are a giant and bees rush at you, I'm sure you would run. It eliminates bottleneck. So that's clearly what swarming is all about. So let's now quickly see some of the considerations for swarming. 1, there must be team buy-in. There must be team buy-in. When a Scrum Master is introducing swarming to the team must buy into that. There are some individuals you would meet on the job that they literally work alone, and you could meet some of them. So there must be team buy-in. Then also you must identify the appropriate task. It is not every task you want to swarm at. So you need to identify appropriate task. It is not every task you want to rush at. It is not every task that needs swarming. Right? You want to identify the task or the bottleneck or the impediment or the challenge you want to use swarming for. Then also you need to have clear communication. How do you engage? How do you communicate so that there will not be conflict, so that two persons will not be working on the same task? Mind you, in the picture we saw earlier, we could see that they are all doing different things. It is not when one person is moving here that another person is encroaching in that same direction. So you need to have clear communication. Then, of course, you need to define roles and responsibilities so there will not be clashes. And of course, you want to allocate your resources appropriately. Then you want to manage workload. You can't say because you are swarming at all the tasks, you now overload the team members and they would burn out. No, you need to manage the workload. Then monitor progress and, of course, foster collaboration as a culture. Foster collaboration as a culture. So that will bring us to the end of this class. If you have any question or you want me to expand on any portion here, please let me know. I'll be glad to do that. We will see you again in the next class. Bye for now.